how can I stay at peace when an angry person who's really intentional, but you have to work with them on rocking you to the core? Well, Danette, the most logical move is to remind yourself that you've got the power of choice. So you can choose to be in a different place with different individuals. The most logical thing to do is try to distance yourself away from these people. But let's say you can't. Let's say you got to stay in this job for whatever reason. Then you got to take the power of responsibility back into your life. What does responsibility mean? Responsibility. That's all it means, right? Responsibility, your ability to respond. That's within your control. So what is within your control is the thoughts you decide to have in that moment. What's within your control? The behaviors. What's within your control is your reactions. And so provided you start taking some of that power back, you'll notice in that moment, you can be more responsible. Now, the reason why most people do not want to be responsible is because sometimes people have mistaken responsibility for blame. Understand that responsibility and blame is two totally different concepts. You are not to blame for a traumatic childhood, for example, but you are to be responsible for how you're going to react to it. Yes or no? So everything is within your control, within your responsibility. Take that power back. Now, when dealing with an angry person, here is a fundamental law. The more you treat somebody like a crazy person, the more crazy they act. You ever noticed that? The more crazy you make somebody feel, the more crazy they become. So the more you actually react in the way you've been reacting back to angry people, the more they will tend to be difficult, right? The more you make somebody feel like they're a difficult person, the more they step into that identity. So again, going back to Mark Twain's quote, do not argue with stupid people. They drag you down to their level and beat you with their experience. Stop training yourself to become somebody you aren't, right? You aren't a difficult person yourself. So what you got to do is you got to choose in that moment to use this moment to better you, to transcend you. In every single moment, life is assaulting our triggers. And in that moment, you got a choice. You can either respond in a way that makes you better or bitter. Better or bitter. That's a choice. If you look at Mother Teresa's of our time, the Mahatma Gandhis of our time, you'll notice this. You'll notice this fundamental practice they had in their life. They held this unconditional loving focus with everybody they met. But here's the fact. The more difficult somebody was, the more they reminded themselves who they were and what they had to do. Hold that unconditional loving focus even more. Making sense, by the way? In fact, there's a reporter who once saw Mahatma Gandhi on the train. He went up to the train window and knocked on the window. Mahatma looked at him in the eyes, and the reporter said, "Can you just give me a message, Mahatma, that I can take back to my people? I'm the biggest fan of your work." The problem was, this was his day of silence. So Mahatma just grabbed a napkin and just wrote something and passed it to a reporter, and the train went off on its journey. As soon as the train went off, the reporter gripped tightly of this napkin, and he slowly but surely unraveled it to find this key secret. Would you like to know what is said on this napkin? What the greatest message from Mahatma was to this person? He wrote, "My life is my message. My life is my message." Beautiful when you say. He is trying to communicate how he is reacting to these difficult people, how he's showing up, the way he's able to train himself to remind him to be a stronger person, even when something's difficult. That's his ultimate message in life. That's who he is wanting us to really, really get, if that makes sense. So just remind yourself that in every single moment, you've got a chance to either strengthen your future self or your past self. That's a choice. You can either react in a way that makes you better or bitter. That's within your choice.